Good morning, everyone. And we are back live. It is Monday morning. I received an email this morning from Bubba the Love Sponge. He said, back to work. Welcome back.
Oh, how sweet of you.
And I said,
Yeah, it was so hard getting out of bed this morning. When that alarm went off.
Probably harder for Artie.
I guess so.
It's always harder for me.
I was on vacation, of course, for the week, as we all were, and Artie had asked me to write the foreword to his book,
That's right.
Too Fat to Fish, which is the new hit book. It's already a hit, and it hasn't even come out yet. It's
You
not even
can't
done.
read it, but you can sign up to buy it.
Actually, Artie didn't ask me to write the foreword. I volunteered to write the foreword. So,
You did, yeah.
yes. So I had
Well,
a
how
deadline.
sweet of you.
Yes, I'm a very sweet guy.
Me
are.
being the media savvy guy that I am, I jumped all over that offer.
Smart.
Like a douchebag.
Well, anyway, so I was sitting on my vacation, madly trying to get this thing done because...
So you were working on Artie's forward during your vacation.
Yes, I was. I was working. So then I called Artie to find out where I should send this thing because I know they had a deadline.
You finished it.
Yes.
Unbelievable
So I
piece
could-
of work, by the way.
Thank you.
Why-
Artie's carrying on about it, but it's not all that great. But
well, everyone I've showed it to,
They liked it?
Oh my God, it's so the comedy's hilarious and the poignant stuff is worse. I mean, it just really is. I told Howard on the message, I said the only problem is the rest of the book isn't going to be as well written.
You know what's
Well,
funny?
thank goodness there's something.
Well, usually when I write something, I either send it over to Fred to look over, or I'll have my agent look it over. But
This
there
one
was-
you felt...
Personal.
no, there was no time to do any of that. He had a deadline, and I respect that. So I quickly wrote it. Beth checked it for grammar, which I'm sure there was a million things wrong. She's really good with that stuff. She was an English major. So, she goes, no, there's a semicolon here and this and that.
Who even knows how to use a semicolon?
Oh, I didn't even know how to find it on the typewriter. I wasn't even sure what a semicolon was, but she seemed to know all that. And then I rushed it off to Artie's publisher. But anyway, so I called Artie to find out where to send this thing. And I didn't get an immediate response, so I called his assistant.
You're trying to send it in, right?
Yeah, I can't find out where to send the goddamn thing.
Not only
and then
is
I
it
started to
unbelievably, it's first of all, again, I can't overstate this enough that I'm blown away by how great it is. It's really so amazing.
Wow.
And
Well, thank you.
Oh,
I
God, it's
called
well
them.
written. It's funny. It's fucking. It's a great piece of work. Everyone I showed it to.
Well,
loves
I
it.
wish he could turn it in.
I left him. I left him a message saying, "Listen, if you don't like it, don't use it."
Yeah, I
said,
know.
"I'm not sure that this is."
What you're
Typical
looking
Howard.
for.
I don't even know if you like this, but you feel free to edit it or whatever you want to do with it.
I'm sitting here going through every emotion you could possibly go through reading something, and I'm going, "Wow, what an impressive piece of work!" And then I hear Howard going, "Look, if you don't like it." He's all paranoid like he always is when you... And then, of course, a guy with this kind of work ethic, you give him a deadline. He's calling us. Like, where do I send this?
Well, that was the thing. So I'm sitting in my house on a beautiful day indoors writing Artie's thing, and I go, I can't get a hold of Artie. I can't get a hold of anyone to where to send this thing. I go,
After working this hard, you got to turn it in.
I said, he's probably out having fun, and I'm fucking
Right,
sitting
he's
around.
lying in the sun, enjoying the day.
Yeah, and I have nowhere to turn. But it turns out,
Lying in the sun.
so as I'm writing this thing, I get a note from Jimmy Kimmel, who says to me, you know, Artie's in rehab.
What?
So I go,
Jimmy
don't you?
Kimmel
I wrote
knows
Jimmy
where
back.
he is?
I wrote back to Jimmy. I said, don't you think I would know
Yeah.
if Artie was? Wouldn't I be the first
How would
person
Jimmy
to know?
Kimmel be the one telling you?
He goes, Artie didn't show up at the Bob Saget roast, which he was supposed to be at. So I
Artie
said,
was so excited about this roast.
I was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the depression of missing the roast. It's the first time I really ever missed anything like that. In my
yeah, you're
career.
usually pretty on top of that.
And, well, you know, look, the crazy thing is I've done 2 roasts for Comedy Central, both for guys I never met before in my life.
Finally,
Right.
they get to somebody you know.
Right. You Hefner and William Shatner, who I think have forgotten me already, seconds
Right.
after I left the podium. This was for a friend of mine who I did a movie with that there's a lot of fodder for making fun of. And I was going to be with friends. I was really looking forward to it. And then my plane crashed into the side of the mountain again. As happened
How are you
before.
here if your plane crashed?
Well, you know.
Metaphorically speaking.
Right.
Well,
Thank you,
anyway,
Fred.
you know,
Jim, I didn't realize Jimmy, because Jimmy had called me and said, you're coming out to L.A. 2 days before the roast. He said, let's get together. Which was nice. I had the feeling that he's single now and he was wanting to maybe go hang.
He figures who knows better how to have fun than you.
And I called him back and I said, "Yeah, man, I'll be there." And
yeah, you had great plans.
I did. I actually had plans. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm like, Artie's in rehab. Well, I said, geez.
What kind of rehab?
Stupid me. I see him nodding, sleeping on the air, rather, and it turns out he was nodding.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I thought it looked like a nod, but I wasn't sure.
All I know is I am such an asshole. Even some guy wrote a song parody talking about how stupid I am.
For not realizing.
I'm always the last one to know that Artie's back on some shit.
Well, even when I bring it up, you're defending him.
Yeah,
he was tired.
There were times where it wasn't all. I fell off the heroin wagon, as we'll call it.
Yeah, but the week before we left, you were off, right?
Yes, I was very off.
I saw you nodding that week.
Right. Okay, but I fell off about 7 weeks ago. So
I saw you nodding a lot.
Well, there were times where, in the last couple of years, where it wasn't from drugs. It was just from being
every once in a while. It was tired.
300 pounds in awful physical condition. But about 7 weeks.
Where were you scoring?
Wait a minute. How could you get heroin in Afghanistan?
That was a time where I thank God. I was able to. You want me to tell the full story now?
Yeah, all right, go ahead. I was going to wait a while because
it's up
I
to
built
you.
suspense.
I mean, I don't care.
The other heroin addicts aren't awake yet.
Right.
Yeah, well, they're never going to be really.
Now I know I went to Afghanistan. He went direct to the poppy fields.
That's right. He was out in a field somewhere.
Was it driving you nuts to be that close to the heroin trade when you were in Afghanistan?
I made a lot of jokes about it in my sets out there, and they didn't realize how close it was hitting to home. Maybe about 2 weeks before I went to Afghanistan, I just had a big conference call with the USO, and they're like, look, a doctor gave me a physical saying, look, he's not in great physical condition, but he could certainly handle this tour, And
doctor has a lot of faith.
But a couple of weeks before I had went out, and without getting too specific, I was probably hanging out with the wrong crowd in Jersey.
This is about 7 weeks ago?
Yes.
All right.
And, one thing led to another, and I ended up getting heroin.
I feel like
there's
I'm
no other
talking
way
to
to
Ray
put
Charles.
it.
What are these dark glasses? Take off those glasses.
Well, Ray Charles was into heroin.
He's in rehab. You're in rehab right now, right? In other words, we're sitting here with a man in rehab.
Well, I'm in a therapy with a guy who's involved with rehab, but
right.
it's not like. I was overnight. The story's insane.
How could it be?
Right. So, okay. So anyway, what happened was, Subutex is this big, that's like my knight in shining armor when it comes to getting off the shit with the withdrawals and stuff. But I had not put it to the test the way I did this past time.
Yeah, I thought if you take heroin while you're on Subutex,
right,
you don't get high.
You don't get high.
Just the same day. In other words, if you take it within if you take it within 12 hours, it blocks the high. But if you can stay off the Subutex for longer than 12 hours.
So your plan was, I'm going to stay off the Subutex and then I'll get high.
Well, yeah, that's what happened. What happened was like a bunch of planets aligned that were negative planets.
You have such good plans. I mean, one thing about him, he never plans, but he plans out.
Drug addicts plan. I mean, you plan out. There's a great line.
So you really had a plan to take heroin, is what I'm saying.
No, you were talking about it a lot. Amsterdam was a challenge.
Right, nothing happened in Amsterdam.
Yeah,
that was
all right in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I was completely clean. I was clean from the end of beer league till 7 weeks ago.
Okay.
So it wasn't a plan, but I was drinking when I went out, and I guess I could say I was shooting pool in a billiard league.
Right.
And there's this one guy that he plays in a pool league now, which is all straight. And I really lost a lot on my pool game, tons. But every once in a while he calls me, but I'm afraid to go because it really is shady types.
Right.
And this time I felt like shooting pool, and I went and I was drinking. And
I thought you weren't supposed to be. Was this before you got on the wagon with the drinking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This is what caused it, actually. And I
Drinking is your gateway drug.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with like a lot of people. But
Right.
the funny thing was, I wasn't drinking, and I was doing heroin.
Well, that was the thing. He stopped drinking.
Right, because I was afraid.
What are you doing? Heroin's your gateway drug.
I'm telling you,
There's nothing left.
There's
Yeah,
nothing left to do.
You're just going to blowing your head up with a M80, I think. So I skipped the Subutex
Oh, okay.
to drink.
Right.
You can't drink on Subutex?
You can, but like
It ruins it.
Yeah, sort of. It's a bad taste.
It's a blocker.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you're drunk, you don't feel any side effects really of withdrawals. So I skipped the Subutex. Now I found myself at the end of the night drunk, shooting pool with a bunch of guys who I hadn't gone in a while. Who everybody sort of recognized me, like people getting me in headlocks and saying, "Do this shot," and I was like very accommodating. I could feel like, all right, man, you know what? I'm in danger zone right now. And sure enough, a guy, knowing my reputation, asked me if I wanted some heroin.
Was this a friend?
Jeez,
No,
you're around.
no,
like you attract some kind of crowd.
Yeah, it was.
Like people just have no heart with you. Like why would a guy? They know you're struggling.
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny since I told all my cocaine problems on this show. For some reason, I haven't done coke since June 14th of '97. I remember.
And nobody offers you that?
You remember your date with
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, that's the point. Like I'd been out in comedy clubs, people put it in my fucking hand.
Oh, gee.
And for
So this
some
guy at
reason,
the pool hall, what's his name? Satan?
Yeah.
I will call him Satan.
Satan. Yeah, so Satan says to you,
He says, you want to, party tonight? There's a couple of broads over here. It would be, they party, blah 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 blah. So I had a wad of money on me, and I bought a couple of bags, and I ended up.
how much is a
What's
bag?
a couple of bags cost? Yeah.
The bags. $40.
$40 a bag?
Jeez.
How long
To
is a
ruin
bag?
your life, it's only $40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even free for you? I mean, you're already laying. I mean, here Satan doesn't
that's,
give you a taste
that's
for
what
free?
happened. Yeah, I did. I got several for free.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. At least you got something for free.
And it's like going to Home Depot and getting sheetrock.
Right.
It's I got heroin.
They got a ton of it, huh?
So anyway, I was really like having fun, and
Broads too, huh?
there were broads around, but nothing happened.
But let me
And
ask you something. Now, when you've not done heroin for a long time, do
Yeah.
you get that first time?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like if you haven't smoked a Marlboro Red in a while and you get a buzz, and I. Yeah, so anyway, it was bad, and I went home, and the problem is I still had a bag left, and I woke up the next day really like almost suicidal, like feeling guilty.
Right.
And Richard Lewis, who I had never had any contact with besides this show,
Richard Lewis, the comedian. Yeah.
After we were on here together last time, I exchanged numbers with him, and he calls me like out of the fucking blue and goes, "Listen, I didn't really know much about you till I did the show with Howard. I Googled you and I watched some stuff, and I saw you have problems. And there's this doctor. I won't say his name. I don't know if the guy wants his name on the air, but anyway, because this doctor that saved my life with addiction problems. He goes, I pay for other people to go there." He really just gets comics and the road, all that bullshit. And I'm talking to him on the phone, and like literally while I got a bag of heroin on the table, and he goes, "Look, I don't know if you're having the trouble now, but this guy's unreal. He'll save your life." He goes, "He saved my life."
By the way, I have to ask one question. Where were you scoring? Did you have to go to Delaware?
No, I gotta.
He got a closer connection.
You got a closer connection.
The pool.
Thank God.
Luckily, the guy.
I don't want you driving while you're on heroin.
Yeah, luckily the guy shot pool with a local guy.
Yeah.
Now, I had a migraine headache at this point. So I called up the pharmacist and I said, can I take Tylenol, what I just took, because I want this headache to go away. I take the 2 Tylenol, I lay back down, and I somehow fall asleep. I slept for about 4 hours, and I got up, and I still felt like shit. I was in like my bed was soaking wet, a pool of sweat. And I just said, fuck it. I went and I checked myself. I drove myself to a detox that I know about in Jersey. And I just checked in. And I said, listen, I almost died, I think. I told them what I was doing. And it was a place I had been to before. But it wasn't the greatest of facilities, Mm-hmm. But I committed myself for overnight there. So I stay overnight. They get all my vital signs right. And they want me to go to this rehab. And I said, well, they said, the way we'll let you out. So I stayed one night sort of inpatient at a rehab. That's when I checked myself in. They said, we'll let you out only under a therapist's care who really comes and looks at you and lets you out. So I thought of the Richard Lewis guy because he's in Jersey. And I called him up, and sure enough, he called me right back. And he said, I've been expecting your call because Richard said you might call.
Wow.
And he's like an older guy, like a wise old man, who's been through this shit. And he got me out of that rehab in his care. Mm-hmm. And so I just, for the last week, I've been under this guy's care.
Did you have to promise him that you'd come every day and stuff?
Yes. Yeah. It was
every day.
And submit the urine test whenever, blah, all that stuff. So I got myself out of the detox, and I went under this guy's care. And I got to tell you, I was telling Howard on the phone, Richard was right, because God, I have never had a connection with a guy like this guy.
Wow.
I mean, I just, everything you said about when it clicked with you with this, I said, I don't know, maybe this is, I hit the wall and now it's all got to stop.
Right.
And he's just a brilliant guy. I feel good talking to him.
How long do you sit and talk to him for an hour?
Well, the first 2 days we talked for 3 hours.
Wow.
And then the next day was 2 hours, and now it's been an hour every day since. And then I went to my shore house for 2 days, and I talked to him on the phone. And
what's his strategy? Are you still on Subutex and stuff, or do you?
Well, he's like, the first question was physically, how are you right now? And I said, well, I think the worst part of the physical withdrawals are over, because once I got it all out of my system, I took a Subutex, and he goes, well, you're going to have to take that only as I prescribe. So, no more popping them, obviously.
No more on your own?
Yeah. So, which is once every 12 hours. So, that's the only medication I'm on now. He hasn't brought up anything else. But, so in the middle of this, it's so fun. I get Howard's intro to the book. Again, Howard, I tried to tell you this on the phone. Your intro was so touching to me.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was like, the funny stuff was still funny, but like the serious stuff and the poignant stuff, it's like, we're guys, whatever. It was a lot of stuff maybe, you've never said out loud before. And I was just so inspired by it.
Wow.
And I showed it to the therapist, and he's like, wow. He goes, I'm not an enormous fan, but I know this is a very important guy. And for this guy to take this time out and clearly work this hard.
Why is everyone always not a big fan? You can't find one fucking fan.
You never get an enthusiastic person.
He's about 70.
Anybody who, you say, oh, he's a sage, he's wise. I don't like him that much.
I don't like him, but this is pretty good.
He's no fan of mine either. Right? Not a big Mad TV guy.
Right.
He's about 70.
Right.
But
that's what I got out of the whole story.
Right.
But the therapist isn't a fan.
That's hilarious.
Another
But go ahead. Yeah. So he felt
he
good
read
about
it, and he read it, and he goes, my God. He goes, first of all, it's such a brilliant piece of writing. Secondly, man, he goes, like, he said, there are tools that people use to stay sober. He goes, you should carry a copy of that and just read it whenever you feel like you need it. So I said that's probably like all this, like the fact that you said.
What if it turns out my
book,
forward gets people off of drugs?
Well, it might get me
just
off.
Get Artie off of
just
drugs.
Artie.
It would be brilliant.
No, and then I let my mother and sister read it. They were so incredibly moved by it.
Oh, I'm so
They said,
glad.
who is he writing about?
And then it's funny.
You know what? It's funny because when I wrote this thing, I read it to Beth first. I didn't want her to like read it. I just wanted to read it to her. And she's sitting there kind of with a blank look on her face, and I was like, "Gee,
Really?
I can't get a vibe if she likes this forward or not."
It was so powerful. I mean, look, that's why I
then
called.
When she proofread it, she said to me, "Oh my God, I love it." And she just wasn't reacting.
She was really enthusiastic.
She goes, "No, I think Artie will really love it."
Oh my God, she was right. I mean, it just and the timing of it, like everything. I don't know, like Richard calling with this guy's number out of the blue.
Are you thinking like the fate just got together to save you now?
You know, the guy in therapy goes, look, I'm not talking about religion, obviously. I'm talking about a spiritual sense that, whatever you can do, whatever's going to help you.
You got a higher power now?
I get that. If it moved you, then if you have it and you feel like you're slipping.
Howard's your higher power.
It might, maybe.
Hey,
he always was.
All right, thank you, man.
But
he prays to you now.
People now got to buy your book just to read the fucking forward.
It might get a lot to other people.
I said to the
of their doldrums.
Well, they could go to Amazon.com and pre-order it. But I said to him, wouldn't it be funny if, like, records now, you could just download one song? Wouldn't it be funny if Jess Howard's intro makes the New York like, people could just download the forward.
Just download the forward, not the rest of the chapter.
Only the forward becomes #1 on the New York Times.
We don't want to buy the whole album.
I'll take the forward in chapter 12.
Because I said that to you in the message. I said, God, the rest of the book, quite frankly, is not this good. And I mean, it meant a million different things to me. First of all, it's going to make this project of my book a million times better. Secondly, it just came at such an incredible time.
Oh, that's great.
And I know how you believe it when you agree to do something, how paranoid you get about it. And all of his messages were like, God, I hope you like it. I hope you like it. That's why I tried to call you a couple times to really make sure. Look, there's no gray area here.
You loved it, and I was happy, and you make sure someone's happy. So let me ask you this. So now you've been off heroin for
8 days.
8 days.
8 days.
Well,
do you love your sobriety?
I'm just loving my sobriety.
No, wait a minute. Are you off everything, Artie?
What do you? I haven't had a drink or anything. Nothing.
No Valium.
No. Well,
you didn't find a guy in the airport.
Hold it a second. I'm hearing
The goal here is to even completely stop booze. The goal here is to stop everything.
Right.
For at least a very long time. But,
that sounds like a little hole to me.
And I stopped shooting pool.
Good.
The money I can make shooting pool with the money I have now, it's not really making a dent.
And without getting too personal, what's going on in therapy now? We're going through trying to figure out the cause of all this.
Christ,
Are we looking for the root?
Yeah, I don't see the guy today. I see him tomorrow, and I got to call him on the phone today. I'm mad I'm not seeing him today.
Why are you not seeing him today?
It's his schedule. He's not in New York today. He does some in Jersey, but he's like 10 blocks from here.
Right.
And so at least 3 to 4 days we work, I'll be seeing him for a while.
That's nice. I'm really happy for you. I think maybe this is a good thing that's happened.
Well, yeah, that was the consensus. Everybody was saying they thought that maybe this was what Artie needed. Even if it meant missing the rose, publicly, showing that he has huge problems.
Does this mean you get Dana back? Because you are in therapy.
I haven't talked to her yet about it, but she called, obviously, because my publicist said, we should put something somewhere just for a little damage control. I'm like, well, I don't know what that means, but he put something in page 6, and then I felt bad. Then I start feeling guilty. I didn't give Howard 100 News.
So Tim was furious.
I called
Tim
Howard.
called me. He goes, why would Artie's publicist press release to page 6? Why don't we get these? Then they have to write according to Howard 100 News.
Well, then so I called Howard 100 News, and then Tim said, he goes, listen, why don't you? Because I called Shuley, and I said a lot of what I just said here, and then Tim, I think very wisely said, look, people know. He goes, why don't you just wait to put it in your words Monday on the show? So that's what Tim said.
Well, Artie, I do wish that this new chapter in your life is successful. I apologize to the audience for yelling at them and telling them that Artie was not on the stuff.
No, but there were a lot of times where
apologize to me because a couple of times.
Yes, you said he was on. Did you say he was on it? Let's make sure.
There were a few times that I said, I think there are problems there. But this time I kept my mouth shut and just watched him nod. Well, every once in a while I'd interrupt the show and go, Artie, what are you doing? And he'd go, oh, nothing.
But there were,
I thought he was tired.
I was doing nothing. But there were times, though,
I really did think you were just tired.
But there were times where I was not on it, is the point. When I slept here, and as a matter of fact, Howard does a real funny thing with pictures in the intro. And the 2 pictures where I'm sleeping in the intro is not
You're
from
really
heroin.
not on heroin.
You're just sleeping. Yeah.
No,
I told you.
Sleep.
It looked real to me.
I'm a tired 300-pound guy.
Lisa G is here with news. Lisa, come on in and let's hear what's going on in the Howard 100 newsroom. Lisa G. Howard 100. All right, go ahead.
I hear
Lisa.
the mumblings outside, Lisa.
Well, a few staff members do have questions for Artie regarding his heroin abuse. They want to know.
Tell him to fuck off.
The day you missed work because you said you had a tickle in your throat from the air conditioning. Was that from heroin?
Yeah,
That's
right.
a really thin excuse.
Was that the last time?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was heroin.
I told you that then.
That was last. That was one time.
Robin, I'm going to check the tape. I recall you saying, I think Artie's just sick.
No.
No,
You always
that
said
the last time was due to that shit.
I said
not
that
every
tickle in
time.
your throat from air conditioning?
Not
That's
every
the
time,
weirdest excuse I've ever heard.
Gare, it's hot. Tell Howard I got
This air conditioning is killing me.
got a tickle in my throat. Tickle. You wouldn't even feel a tickle.
There's more.
Go ahead.
When you hit your eye,
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, Artie.
Yeah,
I told you then, I said, that is a major kind of weird thing to have happen if you're straight.
I was loopy from the shit. Absolutely.
Can you imagine if you had lost your eye from heroin?
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what my therapist told me? He said, you know, when you're using, you create such awful situations. I didn't realize this. You know how William Holden died? The actor?
Hit his head on.
He was drunk and he hit his head, much like
on
me.
a table or
and
something.
he bled to death.
That's right.
And I told him in therapy, I said I had a similar thing happen where, thank God, I was. You know, it's funny though, it didn't hurt me at all.
Of course not.
I had the best painkiller in the world in me, but I was bleeding. That's why it was so odd. Like I was waiting for the cab to take me to the hospital so calmly that the doorman was like, "Wow, you realize how much you're bleeding," and I wasn't hurt at all.
And they didn't have to give you anything to stitch you up, did they?
No, actually.
They
No.
knew you were on heroin?
No. Well, yeah, you don't lie to them.
Yeah,
I
right.
told the guy, I said, yeah, listen, I've been having some fun tonight, and it ended.
Yeah. So they can stitch you up without anything.
So what really happened? In other words,
Well, no,
you,
I
you
did
tripped.
trip, but
Yeah.
I was, loopy.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. You lose your footing. You're just your balance is gone.
I got to tell you, if I almost that kind of injury, because it was pretty severe near your eye, if I had that, I think that would motivate me to get off heroin, but that didn't even slow you down, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know. That wasn't my wake-up call, I guess.
No.
I guess missing the chance to insult Bob Saget on that.
An eye means nothing.
Now, the eye was back in May, so May, June, July, August. So you've been
Wow.
for like 4 months. You've been off the wagon.
More than that, right?
I had it at about between 7 and 8 weeks, but
Yeah, that's more.
I can't lie to you. I was definitely loopy
Maybe it was more than 7-8 weeks.
from heroin. Yeah.
I want everybody
God.
who yelled at me for thinking Artie
All right.
wasn't.
No offense, Robin. I'm not buying that you were the great sage here who knew Artie was
I'm
back on
simply
stuff.
saying I never bought that he was completely clean and
No.
all those flimsy excuses. I would argue with you about the excuses.
I don't know. I'm
going
gonna
to
go back and listen. You're
God,
good
forget
at.
about
You're
it.
good at. You know, I never remember the show the day after it happens, and you're really good at taking credit
Oh,
for
she
shit.
is, and she's
taking
good at
credit.
creating a ton of shit.
Right,
I
Fred?
listen. I have such a bone
She
to
is the
pick with
queen of I
Robin.
told you so.
Yeah.
I have such a
Oh,
bone to
shut
pick
up,
with
you.
Robin. They replayed our bro argument.
Yeah.
I want to remind people it was based on a falsehood. I never called Howard a jerk. We found that out the next day, and
Right.
I knew I never called him
Yeah.
a jerk. But you came in the
She
morning.
sold it.
It
Yeah, oh, and you
sold it
sold
big
it.
time.
It sounded like
She
you were
was good.
calling him a
I
jerk
did not.
to
It
me.
didn't even sound close to it.
All right, Lisa, go ahead and do your report.
My
right,
God, this woman
there's one more.
surrounded by nutty women.
They noticed a hole in the wall at your shore house.
Yeah, that was definitely
The heroin, yeah.
Wait, when
He
was
fell
that?
through the wall.
When he
Who
had
noticed that, by the way? Who's yapping about that? Goodstein,
I've heard
who I
about
let
that.
sleep in my house for
You
8
have a
days?
hole in the wall in your house?
No, not anymore. It's fixed.
Yeah, but you fell through the wall?
Probably fell against it.
What happened? What happened there?
I was trying to tie my fucking shoe, and I had, I was.
Boy, that heroin's good.
And what?
I was, I had been.
So your head went into the wall?
indulging,
Yeah.
and I tried to tie my shoe, and I lost my balance, and I went right back into the wall, and I hit it, and I thought everything was fine, and then I went back to work, and I was working, I was writing, and I looked to my left like 4 hours later, and I saw this enormous hole, and I was like, oh my God, that's from me.
Did you fuck on heroin?
What's that like?
I have in the past.
Yeah.
It takes forever
To come?
Yeah. I remember one particular.
Can you stay hard though?
Particular time. Yeah, you can. But I remember one particular time with Dana, she was like literally, grading papers because she had to get them in the next day.
You're still going.
Yeah, it's you can't come.
Wow.
Really. But you could last forever.
Yeah, I knew a patient once who said he would never take methadone because you can't get hard on methadone, according to him. And
I've never had methadone.
Can't somebody make a drug where guys could, it would keep them from coming too fast, like to stop premature ejaculation, like make like a heroin derivative drug?
A heroin does it, you just never come. But there is, and some other Coke people might back me up on this. There is
Coke people.
If
you're a Coke person,
there is the perfect.
Hello, Coke people.
There's the perfect amount of cocaine to have in your system,
right.
And this happened to me once or twice, where you have the best sex ever, and it's like euphoric, and you last just the right amount of time for it to be great, and you have the most insane orgasm.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, but
Really?
if it's like just the right amount. If usually you go over that.
I thought the best sex drug was marijuana.
Really? I don't know. I don't know.
You're talking to the big boys here.
Yeah,
I've never been a weed guy.
I'm a lightweight.
No, but sex, no, really,
Oh,
weed
yeah.
takes away a guy's sex drive.
Come on, are you kidding?
Artie,
Oh, hi, guys.
how does it feel to get all that off your chest?
Oh, great.
How you doing, though?
Good. I'm looking for my breakfast burrito.
Oh, good. Things are the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Hey, what's up? How are you? Were you working now or something? Oh, you did? Oh, good for you.
Wait, so Art, is this time going to be different? Because you've had help in the past with the job.
I hope.
And the sad thing was, people kept saying to me, "How's Artie? And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
I don't know. I'm in Poland.
Can we still do this?
Oh yeah. Let me this is fine for AA. Yeah, I guarantee everything's fine now.
You look good. You look better.
Oh yeah? I know.
Yeah.
Drop Jim.
I'm happy for you.
Oh good, thank you. I appreciate it.
Terrible.
Oh really? Well, why don't you turn that mic off?
So Gary, were you surprised when Artie confessed that he was doing heroin again?
No.
Not at all.
I was surprised that he was doing heroin. I was surprised that he was doing heroin, but we all sort of had a feeling something was going on. We just weren't sure what it was. And he sort of admitted when he came back from Afghanistan about, taking 17 Valium and stuff. So I knew that, he had a propensity for taking stuff.
So now, Artie's been in rehab before, and obviously it didn't always work. Do you think this time's going to be any different?
Well, he hasn't been in rehab that many times. He's been in rehab once. That's it. He only went the one time for Mad TV, and he's had trouble with drugs, but he's never really done anything about it. So I think this is actually really good because this is something, he's actually doing something about it, going to see somebody, and he's in some sort of a program. He hasn't been in rehab in, 8 or 9 years. He's had issues, but he hasn't, this is the first time he's really done something about it.
So the last time, he just went to that doctor, right?
And he got Subutex, and that was
he just
really,
substituted it.
It's a Band-Aid for the problem.
Yeah.
This seems to be more, going to see a therapist about his life seems to be more addressing the direct problem that I think he needs to be dealing with. So I think it's a really good thing.
So, Will, did you have any idea Artie was doing heroin again?
Well, I noticed that he was sleeping a lot. We seem to be getting out the bed for him quite often. But I don't know, you can never tell with him. He's like way obese, and he sleeps a lot anyway, so it's hard to tell when it's actually drug use and when he's just tired. So, yeah, it's like when you hear it, you're like, oh wow, of course you should have known. But at the time, it doesn't seem as obvious.
How do you think this is all going to turn out?
Hopefully this is the last time we hear about Artie's heroin use, and he becomes healthy, loses another 150 pounds, ends up marrying Dana, has a few kids, and life is great. But I don't know, it's Artie. Never ends. The saga never ends with that guy.
So Jason, did you have any idea Artie was back on heroin? Or using any kind of drugs?
Well, Artie is a drug addict, and drug addicts lie. And so I, never really believed that you can cure yourself of your illness, your heroin addiction, by not going to therapy. So I never really believed Artie was off everything. There were days, obviously, when he was falling asleep on the air, slurring his words, had the chalky white lips from all the Subutex he was taking. And so the answer is no. I didn't know for a fact he was off the wagon and back on heroin, but I never thought he was really completely clean. So it's nice to hear that at least he's trying to get help this time.
Do you think this is a new Artie? Think it's going to work out for him?
No. I mean, yeah, no. I don't. No, I don't think this is a new Artie, but yes, I think this, will help. Look, the road to recovery has a lot of speed bumps on it, and just because he's getting himself help now doesn't mean he's going to be perfect from here on out. And but hopefully, this is the beginning of an upward path. As opposed to a downward spiral, and so I wish the best for him.
So Teddy, were you surprised when Artie admitted that he was doing heroin again?
Was I surprised?
Yeah. Did
yes.
You had no idea?
Yeah, legitimately, yeah. I had no idea.
So now he's actually going to he's seeing a therapist. He's getting help.
I heard this morning.
Is this the right path for Artie, you think?
Definitely. I think so. He needs to talk to somebody. He wasn't talking to me, so... Not like I was going to do him any good, but look, Howard's been telling him to go see therapy for years, so I think this is great. Hopefully, he'll be happy and start enjoying his awesome life, because he was pretty in the dumps for a while. But I don't know.
Hey, Sal. Yeah. Were you surprised when Artie admitted that he was doing heroin again?
Very. Come on. I mean, who didn't see that? I mean, I didn't see it coming. I mean,
Artie was on heroin?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Yeah.
No. Not at all. Not at all.
Wow. Can you imagine the wrap-up show cut up? Garrett, did you see it? No, I didn't see it at all.
You know what? I gotta tell you, John. I didn't see it coming. That's just Artie. He likes to eat.
Why didn't you see Garrett?
Let's go to line 2.
Yeah, Gary, you're so fucking full of shit. How fucking stupid can you be? Stop kissing Artie's ass.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I thought Artie wasn't on drugs. I thought Artie was doing a great job. I'm very happy for him.
I thought he was just tired.
Both thought it was great. I thought it was great. Everybody else thought it was great.
I'm gonna go play solitaire.
I have to say that, I'm very shocked.
Robin, so you seem to be the only person in the studio who was suspicious of Artie and is nodding off every once in a while.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Why do you think Howard or Fred or Benji, why were they so blind to this? Why didn't they notice it?
I don't think they were necessarily any more blind to this than the average person might be. I just saw Richard Christie with a bald head. I can't even speak. What is this all about?
It's Stone Cold Richard Christie.
Oh, okay. That's a first. Sorry about that. I'll start all over again. That was shocking.
Cue ball.
Okay, I don't think that Howard or Fred or Gary were trying not to know that Artie had a problem. They just believed. They wanted to believe their friend. They wanted to believe the best. They wanted to think of him as just a guy, not an addict. And every time they would say, but I believe Artie, I'm like, but all addicts lie.
And do you think his method of treatment is the best for him right now?
I think whatever treatment Artie will take is the best, because previously he hasn't been willing to do anything, and so I think this is a good thing.
Do you think he's strong enough to get better?
Let me see. Let me think about that. I want to be optimistic for Artie. I'm not sure. I think I probably would be at the 50-50 point.
We'll hope for the best.
We will hope for the best, but I think there's a 50-50 shot.